Hello, and welcome to Nale Yoga, the podcast with Yoga Nidra journeys for deep rest and more. I'm Ruthie Eisenberg, and today I'm so happy to welcome a very special guest. Chana Frazin is a certified aromatherapist and essential emotions coach, and the founder of The Oil for Me. Chana has this beautiful way of helping women use essential oils for long-term natural healing, for physical wellness, as well as spiritual and emotional balance. She's based in the beautiful Golan Heights area in northern Israel and does workshops all over Israel as well as online, teaching women how to bring these healing practices with essential oils into their homes and their lives. She's often called the oil whisperer, and when you hear her speak, you will understand why. Chana has this intuitive and very heart-centered connection to her work, and you can really feel it shining through from a place of deep authenticity. In our conversation, we talk about the emotional layers of aromatherapy, the connection between scent and soul, and the season of this time, and how these natural remedies can become tools for healing and self-discovery. Chana also has a new 5-week aromatherapy training coming out called The Anointed Path, which will be starting in January, and you can obtain more information about that in the show notes. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation, so let's get started. Hey, Chana, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. So nice to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here and to see you here. Why don't we just get started? If you could share a little bit about how did you get into essential oils and especially using essential oils for healing?
Right. So my first experience, like positive experience with essential oils was in college. And I had itchy ears for like all my life, as long as I can remember, at least 10 years before that. And I was trying to calm the itch with a Q-tip. And a friend of mine said, "Why don't you put tea tree oil on the Q-tip?" I was like, "What's tea tree oil?" And so she gave me tea tree oil and I put it on the Q-tip and I had immediate relief. And I'm saying that for more than 10 years, my ears itched regularly. And and one drop on the Q-tip took care of it. So I was like, wow, I don't know what this is, but I'm going and I'm buying a bottle of tea tree oil today. And literally from that moment, I have always owned a bottle of tea tree. I never went away overnight without a bottle of tea tree, but I didn't think like, oh, this is an essential oil. What else is out there? You know, it was a very standalone moment in my life, but a very profound moment in my life. And and so that was college. And then years later, a girlfriend of mine called me up one night shortly after we moved to the Golan Heights. And I'm not a fluent Hebrew speaker, and there isn't a big job market up here. And I had 4 kids. I had just had a baby, and it was like dishes, laundry, diapers. That was my life. And she said, "Hey, I just got involved with these amazing essential oils, and I think you would love it." And I had just said that morning to my husband, "I think I need to like find something else to do besides just dishes, laundry, diapers. Like maybe I could volunteer somewhere. I have to figure it out. I think I need something else to do as well as being a mom before." And she called me that day. And I said, "Okay, great. I'm in. Whatever you're talking about, clearly this is from Hashem. I'm in." And so she came up to the Golan with some other women, and they taught an essential oil workshop in my house. And that's how my essential oil world really got started. And and again, I had a baby. I had a 4-month-old baby that I was home with and nursing a lot. And I would sit on the couch and listen to these YouTube videos of these 2 women talking every week about one essential oil for 45 minutes. And I say, listen to, because they didn't even have a video. This was 11 years ago. And one was a grandma with tons of children and grandchildren, and she was really into essential oils and healing naturally. And the other was an acupuncturist and doctor and grandma. And they just shared about one oil back and forth, how they use it, why they use it, who loves to use it, everything. And each one was so rich with like its whole story of all these things you can do with it. And going back to my itchy ears, it was candida that was at the source. And I had a lot of allergies, environmental allergies and different seasonal allergies growing up. And at a certain point, when I was around 18, I thought, if this is the right medicine, right? Because I was on allergy pills, daily allergy pills, and weekly allergy shots. If this is the right medicine, why do I need to switch every 6 months because it stops working? And I would go back and forth between like two different allergy remedies. So when I started thinking about it, it didn't make sense to me that that was the way to heal it. And then looking at, just symptoms. And so I started to explore more natural options, starting with vitamin C. I just like started taking lots of vitamin C and also saw a difference right away. So I went off my allergy medicine and started exploring what helps. So 10 years later, finding the essential oils was great. Really
Wow.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started, again, we had just moved to the Golan Heights. There's not like a whole lot of infrastructure here and businesses and stores. So I was like, well, I only want to use natural diaper cream on my baby. And so I just started making it. Once you have some basic oils like lavender and tea tree and frankincense, you can deal with most things in the average home just with those. And that blew my mind. And then
Tea
just,
tree, lavender, and frankincense.
right, right. And as a Jewish woman, we have a whole tradition with frankincense, levona
Oh,
in the Ketoret. And so starting to learn about how really healing the levona can be was just so inspiring. So I just kept going deeper and deeper.
yes, the essential oils, they just go so deep, and there's such a rich tradition for using them in our Jewish culture and across different cultures. And I also like, I love how they're so versatile, and one oil is so much more than what meets the eye or more than meets the nose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing your story. I also was like really resonating with what you were sharing about the tea tree, because I remember when the first time I went to your workshop, um, I had I was right after a wisdom tooth extraction, and you gave me like a little bit of On Guard, and all the pain just went away. It was amazing. It was like, wow.
Right.
Such fast, it was so fast acting, and it blew me away. And since then, like, I always have On Guard in my house, and I use these oils all the time. They're such a small drop can make such a big difference. That's
Right.
what I love about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
when you're saying it so quickly, you can feel results so
Yeah.
quickly on physical ailments and see results,
Right.
which is amazing.
Yeah. Um, And you were mentioning about, I'm like a little bit tempted to go down the spiritual road with the oils. So you was already started talking about the frankincense and its role in the Ketoret, right? So
Mhm.
can you explain that? Some of our listeners are Jewish, but a lot of our listeners come from different cultures from all over the world. So, can you share a little bit about like what the Ketoret is and how this frankincense oil relates to this?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start even before the Ketoret.
Okay.
in Sefer Breshit, in Parshas Breshit Genesis, right? We just started the Torah again. And day one, of humankind, we're in the Garden of Eden, we're in Gan Eden, and we're told, don't eat from the tree in the middle. And of course, we all know we eat from the tree. Not even one day has passed. And so it says that, we used all of our other senses in eating of the tree, in, the primordial sin, for lack of a better word. Um, we didn't use our sense of smell. We saw the tree, we touched the tree, we ate the fruit, we heard the snake, we talked to the snake. All of our other senses are used except our sense of smell. So in the Jewish tradition, it says that our sense of smell has remained totally pure from that time because it was not involved in the original chet or sin. And then if you fast forward to like the late 1900s, 1990, around, scientists also discovered that our sense of smell is not blocked by anything, that when you smell something, it goes from your nose all the way to your limbic brain. But we can pause for a moment on the science and go back to the Torah. I find it so fascinating that it took so many thousands of years for scientists to really come out and say that, and yet we have it in Parshas Breshit, the first, the first chapter we're reading. We already have that. So, that's the first time that smell is not mentioned, which makes it mentioned. Like when you have all the other senses and then one is left out, it's like that's its spot. So, and then in the very next parsha, Noah comes off the ark, and after 40 days on the ark, he comes out and he brings a korban. He brings an offering to Hashem to say thank you, we survived, and like let's move on now, and saying thank you. And so he brings an offering, and it says there that Hashem smelled the pleasing aroma and he was happy in his heart, right? So that's amazing. So Hashem smelled something and that made him happy. So it was a pleasing aroma. So that's the that's the first place that aroma is mentioned in the Torah. So that's like our source for, okay, good smells make Hashem happy. It makes Hashem happy. We're created in the image of God. I'm sure there's some smell that can also make me happy. So, ready to explore that. And then as we go on, when we're in the midbar in the desert going to Israel, we build the Mishkan, and we also bring offerings, and we bring an incense offering. Hashem gives us very clear instructions of these 11 spices. We're going to make the ketoret, the holy incense spice, which is in our daily davening. Not a lot of people say it like only on Shabbat, but it says, I don't remember right now the source. It says that if you, maybe in the Zohar, that if you say the Ketoret offering every day, that you will live a long life and your health will be protected. Um, and so we have the Ketoret, and Yom Kippur, the main part of the service is the Kohen Gadol going into the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur, and he brings incense on Yom Kippur. He goes into the Holy of Holies one day a year. All the preparation for Yom Kippur, all the times he changes his outfits, and he brings incense in there, and it fills the room with a pleasing aroma, and he does the rest of the avoda, the rest of the offering for Yom Kippur. So that's mind-blowing, right? Like that smell, aroma is so important in our tradition. So I love that. That really speaks to me. There's so many different oils that we can use. And then frankincense is mentioned. It's the most mentioned throughout both the Torah and the rest of Tanakh. And we have Queen Esther, right? Such a heroine of our time in our stories. So important, the story of Purim. And she soaks in baths of frankincense and myrrh for 11 months before going to meet a hashverosh. So if I don't know if you've ever smelled myrrh, it's not like roses. It's not some beautiful floral, you imagine Queen Esther soaking in these beautiful baths with servants all around her and their flowers, and it's this beautiful scene. Myrrh is really bitter. It's great for our skin. It's great for women. It's connected to like the female archetype energy, and frankincense is more of the male archetype energy, like the mother and the father. And so she's soaking in them to prepare herself physically on the one hand, but also spiritually, emotionally. She's about to take her life into her hands. And again, incense, resins are part of the preparation of this very important holy time. I'm sure the most important, thing in her life, certainly until she gets there and has the conversation and everything else that unfolds there. So, frankincense and myrrh, which back to the science, these two are two of the main and most researched oils for cancer treatments and a lot of big diseases, unfortunately, that we have them. So that's also amazing that they're from so long ago and we have complete access to them today, which is amazing.
Yeah, that is really amazing and so inspiring. Um, so with frankincense, like I think I maybe learned from you that if you put a few drops of frankincense into water and drink that every day, then it has the anti-cancer properties.
It does. It has a lot of great healing properties, including it puts cells into apoptosis, which is
Uh-huh.
natural cell death, right?
Right.
And that's when diseases grow, when the cells don't die and multiply. So yeah, frankincense helps put do make that process happen in
Mm-hmm.
our bodies, and it also is great to help create new healthy cells,
Mm-hmm.
which is really important in disease recovery as well. We can't just kill the disease that was there. We have to grow healthy cells now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just again, it's so amazing how a few drops can make such a difference.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
there's nothing that stops them from entering and working in the body, right? We have a
Right.
lot of protective layers, our skin, et cetera, but essential oils, they can penetrate cell membranes. So they can get to the heart of the matter. They can get anywhere in our bodies. There's nothing that filters them out. I mean, they filter out, you can sweat them out, you go to the bathroom, they don't clog up, but they can travel freely throughout the body, which is amazing because they're
That
so
is really amazing. Yeah, that is really amazing. And it's cool too because now in this month of Heshvan in the Jewish calendar, the rectification or like the theme for this month is the sense of smell. Every month has a different theme and a different tikkun, a different rectification associated with it. So right now we're in the month of Heshvan, and the theme is the sense of smell. So I'm wondering if you could share maybe a little bit about how to bring this spirituality of smell into this current month, into this current season. The days are getting shorter, the weather is getting colder. It doesn't feel like that where I am. We're still in t-shirts. But in many parts of the world, the weather is getting colder and we are descending into the energy of the winter season. So, can you share a little bit about the I just love hearing you speak about this stuff. So share a little bit about the spirituality of smell specifically for Heshvan.
sure.
This season.
Right. So it's the month is the rectification of smell. So what does that mean? We're
Yeah.
not
What does that mean?
losing necessarily our sense of smell, but we can use our sense of smell. So I understand it. We can use our sense of smell to help. Like whatever you're doing, if you do it using your sense of smell, using aromatherapy, um, that you get like the double whammy results in this month. And because our sense of smell is the focus of our senses this month. So, and you said that it's the beginning of, we're moving into winter. So transitions, right? Transitions are hard for people. Transitions are hard on our body. Weather tradition transitions, going from a very dry, hot summer here in Israel to the dampness, and then hopefully a lot of rain this winter. Please God, we need to strengthen our immune system, and the essential oils are the immune system of the plants. So when we're basically extracting and using their immune system to help strengthen us, because we are very we're close to plants, right? Like man is like the tree in the field. So we have a lot in common with the plant kingdom and trees. And the more we can use them, especially in this month, the more we can align ourselves and do whatever kind of healing we want to be doing, whether that's physical or emotional, right? Like we're moving into winter, so a lot of people are more focused on the physical healing and not to get sick and to protect from germs. So essential oils are amazing, amazing germ fighters. They protect us, they kill germs, they're antiviral, antibacterial, and super easy to use. And like you were saying, you don't need a lot. So in Cheshvan, the more we use and incorporate aroma into the things we're doing, like staying healthy or staying motivated, right? We just came out of the Jewish holidays. It's a new year. So a lot of people took on things they want to focus on for this year, things they want to do better. So pairing your personal work, your spiritual work with oils that are appropriate for you and for your goals is a great way to incorporate the oils. One of the things I love in the winter is that wearing scarves. So it's a really easy oil hack is just to put 2 drops of an essential oil that you love on your scarf. And as you go outside and you wrap yourself, you can smell it. Um, and they're oils for self-confidence and all the emotions. So that's a great way to incorporate them to really like wrap ourselves in the aroma. um, Diffusing in a home, great way to kill the germs in this transition. Anyone who has children knows that at this time of year and for the next several weeks, kids are coming home carrying all kinds of bugs and germs. So in an aromatherapy diffuser, and let the water and the steam and the oils, penetrate your home, which is great and warming and appropriate for this time of year as the seasons change, that fall cinnamon vibe.
Yeah, yeah, just hearing you say that makes me feel so, like, warm and fuzzy. It's interesting with the sense of smell and cheshvan, like, we are post, holiday season, and during the holidays, there's a lot of, upward going energy,
Mhm.
right? It's a time of action, it's a time of really, like, voicing what our prayers and it's a loud, active kind of time. We blow the shofar, right? The ram's horn, it's a loud, active kind of time, and now this is a time for like for quiet, for introspection, descending into this darker space, um and it's so apropos to this sense of smell, which is it's more subtle, it's lingering, and one thing I learned was interesting that this is a time for quieter prayers, for kind of like the residue of our prayers from the holidays to continue echoing and whispering into this year as we ride into this year,
Mhm.
um, but in a more subtle kind of way. So, and this is a way to integrate them and really like encode them in our whole being, in our whole body, in our whole action, and all of our actions, without needing to loudly declare everything that we're praying for. So
Right.
I thought that was just such a beautiful idea, and and just to connect it back to this subtlety, this sense of smell. Um, I know that, this is a podcast about deep rest and the practice of yoga nidra, which is very healing, and it actually heals every system of the body with cumulative effects. So the more you practice, the more you see the effects of it. And it's also it gets you into these more like subtle kind of, this slightly altered state of consciousness,
Mhm.
these more subtle layers of experience. Um, so so I was wondering if you had any thoughts on, specifically, like if we're talking about oils and smells, right? They're connected to memories. They can remind us of emotional memories, just, walking by a place that has a smell that you remember from the past
Mhm.
transports you back to that time. Um, I'm wondering if you could share some thoughts maybe about, like, what are some specific oils that might be helpful in this idea of combining the use of oils with more like meditative or reflective kind of practices for slowing down, for relaxing. Now, there's one area of like fighting germs. I want to hear more about that too. And then
Mhm.
there's the other area of like more of using oils for the spiritual and that introspective.
Right. So for me, before I got into the oils, I'm from New York originally. So I'm much more of like a run, run, do, do kind of person. And so I didn't meditate or sit still or anything like that. And so, but I wanted to meditate. I heard it's so great. I want to do it. I want the benefits. And using the oils really helped me to sit down and take a moment to inhale an oil, set an intention with it. For me, I see how you can add them with all kinds of healing modalities. There's very few things that you can't add an oil to, whether it's dance or yoga, like for sure yoga. There's the beginning of the practice, there's the end of the practice, shavasana and frankincense.
Yeah.
Um, so specific oils that I love. So this month in particular, Heshvan, is like clove oil, which is great. As a germ killer, it has the word love in it.
Oh,
Clove is sea love, and
oh
once
yeah.
I saw that, a friend pointed that out to me, and so that's a great one that's, like, warming, and, the oils all have both energetic and physical properties that, are a reflection really of each other. So, like tea tree, for example, everyone knows tea tree is great for killing viruses and those kinds of things. So if you're around someone who you don't like their energy, they have a big influence on you, you kind of feel like you've been attacked after you spend some time with them, you can put some tea tree on or smell some tea tree before you're with them and kind of create like a bit of an energetic shield to block their energy. Just like it blocks the invading germs, it blocks someone's invading energy.
Mm.
That's how, and all the oils have both physical and emotional properties, which is great. And again, goes back to that they're so versatile and you can do so many things with them. So tea tree, of course, is great for this month in that way. And clove. Clove is also, I think it's one of the highest, if not the highest, in antioxidants of all the oils. So that is a really great one to be using at this time of year. And it's also great for boundary work, which I think this month it's important to think about that, right? Because we're coming from such a high time into the winter. And so we need to not overdo or beat ourselves up for like all those high, lofty ideas we had in the middle of like Rosh Hashanah davening and Yom Kippur davening and the things we said we'd never do again, the things we said we would do every day, and we haven't done them every day. So, making boundaries around our spiritual work and protecting it. And in that way, I love using the oils, and I recommend to people to use them in the mornings as you're doing whatever your morning routine is, you know, prayer, meditation, exercise, yoga, whatever, how you're starting the day, because the oils do go all the way to our limbic brain and help our emotions and help us to regulate our emotions, and also to then add, how do I want to feel? How I can choose to feel more energetic or more self-confident or calmer, and use those oils to set the intention for how we want to be that day. And like what you were saying about yoga nidra having the cumulative effects, oils also, you'll feel effects the first time and the second time, et cetera. But if you really want to make a change, really ingrain a habit, add to something you're doing, it's daily practice makes the difference. And they literally help us to create new neural pathways, carve new neural pathways in our brain. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. Uh, and yeah, that's just so amazing. And a lot of people, a lot of people who practice yoga nidra really struggle with anxiety or with
Mhm.
insomnia or, just overall, burnout or like
Mhm.
stress, trauma, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I know that like at the end of whenever I teach a yoga class, I always put at the end either like a dot of frankincense or a dot of lavender
Mhm.
between the students' eyebrows.
Mhm.
And it just helps everything
Mhm.
relax, and it really helps to transport into that different state. But yeah, it's so good that you're sharing about the effect on the limbic system, right? Because a lot of times people who have gone through trauma, which is it's ubiquitous,
Mhm.
and who is not dealing with, just life stress in the modern day world. So
Right.
so these oils are just, I love how they're just such easy and accessible tools to use. You don't have to use much time. You don't have to do much, thinking. You just like, you know, dab a drop of lavender or dab a drop of geranium or something to open the heart, right? And making, and I love how you're talking about making it a consistent daily practice and
Mhm.
having these cumulative effects so that your brain, your nervous system can really build a relationship with these
Mhm.
oils and get to know them better, become friends with them, become real true allies with them, and um and benefit from all these amazing effects that they're offering. So um, I'm wondering, like, okay, for somebody who is struggling with anxiety or with trauma, or or
Right.
what are there specific oils that you recommend over others? I think one of the challenges for me was that there's just so many oils, and
Mhm.
they're all so good, and they all hold so much promise. But
Right.
I'm not gonna use 100 oils. I'm not even going to use 10 oils.
Mhm.
So how do you help somebody to decide, like, what is the right oil to use, and how to use it, and at what time to use it?
Right. Great. So the name of my brand, like my company, is called The Oil for Me,
Mhm,
because when I discovered a very loving relationship with geranium oil, I thought, wow, everyone must have an oil that's like their oil that opens them up, that helps them, soothes them. So like that's gonna be the thing. I'm gonna help people find their oil. So that's actually how I got the name of my brand.
mhm,
Um, I'm an essential emotions coach, breakthrough coach, which means I facilitate people in a breakthrough session, and we talk about the oils, talk about what it is they want to work on specifically, and then go through a process to pick one or two oils for them to use specifically for what they're working on. There are like overall classifications of oils, like tree oils, right? When you think of a tree, you think of shade, big, grounded, strong, they're comforting. You could sit under a tree and sit in the shade. So the tree oils provide that energy. They're grounding. So when we use the oils that way, we're getting those properties and they can help our emotional well-being. So in particular, copaiba, which is a tree oil, it's so interesting. It's such a powerful oil and it has a very little smell, right? So some
Yeah.
people don't like a strong smell. So they're like, no, no, stay away from me with your oils. And some people love, yes, give me everything. I want it all. And copaiba, which is one of those that does everything and is especially great for stress, inflammation, PTSD, um, pain, physical pain, emotional pain. It's called the oil of unveiling, right? Like the oils aren't going to take away everything, but they help to peel the layers way faster, with your therapist, with whatever practices you're doing. Most people who go to a therapist once a week. That's great. But the other 6 days, you're home and, can still be in your head or with your fears or whatever it is. But the oils, you can just stick an oil in your pocket. You can always have it with you in between the sessions. And so, what I love to do with people is to make an aromatic anchor so
Mhm.
that we create a positive experience using the oil, a positive memory, and really anchor in with the smell. And then they can take that with them, like someone who has anxiety and has to ride the bus through the city and transfer and all the people rushing around. That can be really overwhelming. And so, I often tell people like just take a little bottle and stick it in your pocket, stick one in your purse, have it available. Smell your oil. Just inhale. And that, 2 or 3 inhalations from your hand, literally 45 seconds. Like that's all it takes for the oils to reach your emotional center, your limbic brain, and start to help to repair
Mhm.
the chemical messengers. I do have to say, this works with pure oils. And unfortunately,
That's important.
yeah. And unfortunately, the market is very tampered with, and more than 76% of essential oils in the world market are adulterated, have bad things in them, but they smell the same and they can say 100% pure. So you have to know what you're using. Just have to say that because, I make a lot of like promises about how the oils can help, but it's only if you're using good oils. That's
Right. I think, yeah, I think that's a really, really important thing to mention. Uh, because I also like before I learned this from you, I had no idea. I just thought, okay, it says 100%, it smells nice. I
right.
didn't know that so many oils are they are adulterated and they are in you can get like a drop of actual essence and then the rest of it is, either like cheaper carrier oils or additives. And it's because oils, they're hard to make. I didn't know about this before, and you know about this, of course, more than I do. Even like making a small 5 milliliter bottle of lavender,
Mhm.
you need like 3 or 4 lavender pounds of lavender. So that's a lot of quantity for a very small yield. And so it is important to find those oils that are pure and trusted brands that will be good for you and
Right.
will do what they promise.
Right.
Well, what do you think about for people who can't access these higher quality pure oils because they are more expensive and sometimes they're harder to obtain? Do you think that using the cheaper oils is still worthwhile? Do you think there's still some value in that, or do you think it's kind of like, you get what you pay for, or it's maybe
Right.
not worth it to use something that is adulterated or corrupted for healing purposes. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, for healing purposes, you don't want adulterated oils, and especially if you're working, let's say, like with babies, they're
Yeah.
so more sensitive,
Mhm.
or older people, or someone who is immune compromised. Um, I'm sure that there are some decent middle of the ground oil, but if you're, let's say you want to use frankincense for healing, like real healing, then you have to use what's pure.
Mhm. So if somebody's using it for like cancer, let's say, right? Then of course something pure. But what if they're using it for anxiety or for stress or just to help them or to help them sleep, let's say? How important it is for the oils to be pure, high quality?
I think in those categories, it's also really important. If you're talking about stress, stress affects everything, it affects all the systems in our body.
It
If
does.
we're talking about better sleep, sleep is so important for everything in our lives. And as moms, I mean, thinking back to when my kids were little and I didn't sleep well for years, like that's not good.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm not a good person to ask in that question because once you like know the science, when you like understand that how powerful they can be, it's hard to say, yeah, it's okay, use cheap oils from the pharmacy. Like I that I can't say. People ask me, well, what do I do? I have all this rosemary from the pharmacy. I said, clean your bathroom with it. Like literally that as a rosemary oil in Israel that costs 35 shekels in the pharmacy, that's what it's good for. Clean your bathroom. It'll smell great. It'll smell fresh. Everyone will know you cleaned your bathroom. Should you use it on your child's head? No, no, for sure not. Our children, they're developing and the oils penetrate. So even if there's just one or two drops of the pure essential oil, you're putting garbage on their head. So I think I would tell people if it's like bad quality, don't use it. If, you
Okay.
know, I'm sure there's some middle ground area that's okay, but like not for cancer, not for babies.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Right.
I hear that. No, but that's why I was asking the question because I like to use the either like the doTERRA oils, which
Mhm.
have very high they just have such a good R&D department and are very well researched and reputable. Or I sometimes I use ones that I just like get like locally from people who make them locally, so I know that I trust them and I know what goes into it. But I completely agree with you, but the reason I was asking is because not everybody has access or can get doTERRA oils or some of the more costlier oils. I mean, it's an investment like anything else, you know? So
Right.
it
I
is.
will I
But
will say, so when I started my business, for sure,
yeah,
like people are like, "Oh, these are really expensive." So I sell smaller bottles because I feel like if your kid is sick, try the oils that'll work or don't treat them with an oil because bad oils can do bad things to people.
uh-huh.
So, like eucalyptus and rosemary, which I know everyone thinks like, yes, use eucalyptus. That's great for my baby. Eucalyptus is not great for babies because it can cause, if someone has a predisposition for seizures, it can cause seizures. So a lot of people don't know that because it's in a lot of products. So you have to be careful. You have to know, you have to talk to someone to get, good products, just like anything else. If you're going to use it for healing, um, you want what's going to work. And the thing is, it doesn't take a lot.
Right.
A really big difference.
Right.
Not talking about ongoing treatment of something, but something smaller, even like a wart. Warts can take a really long time to go away, and warts are a virus. And so you can clear warts with frankincense oil or tea tree oil. It takes some time, but it goes away, and then your system is more healed from that virus.
Uh-huh.
Dormant viruses. I work with a woman who used to have shingles,
Uh-huh.
and they say once you get shingles, you will always have shingles, that stays in your system. It's that kind of virus that lays dormant. And she then has completely healed her system of shingles using the oils. Both the physical was like the easier part because as soon as she would start to feel it, she could put oils on top. But what was happening was before the shingles would come out, she was very stressed. And So she realized when she would start to feel that level, she's like, okay, where's the jasmine? I need my jasmine. And jasmine is one of those more costly oils because it's very hard to extract and you can only do it at a certain time of the day. And the flowers are so delicate. And she no longer has shingles.
Wow.
And it is, yep, the proactive smelling of the jasmine and then the topical use of virus killing oils.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, you just reminded me the jasmine smells so good.
So good. So
But
good. Like walking through Shireen.
yeah,
Jasmine is intoxicating. Yes.
really, it's like transporting. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. Right. And that's the thing what you're saying about the memories. So our sense of smell can trigger memories, right? Like you can walk into someone's house and you smell chocolate chip cookies baking, and suddenly you're in your grandmother's kitchen
Yeah.
30 years ago. And so smell is it's very powerful. It takes us back. And because of that, in using in a therapeutic way, it can really help to heal old wounds and get in there and create a safe space to, working with someone, working with a therapist or whomever, and using the oils as an extra tool.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. And as you're talking, I'm also getting an idea, even just with yoga nidra and using the oils to maybe integrate any unconscious emotions or memories or associations that might show up for somebody while they're practicing yoga nidra,
Mhm.
to use a corresponding oil after the practice to integrate it, and then coming into another practice using that oil in the beginning to return to those parts that might need attending, and really use also harness the power of oils as a resource going into the practice.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah, just
And your studio will smell wonderful.
yeah, that's right.
You did that smelling yoga studio.
That's right. You could have like your music as a resource. You can have your space as a resource. Your music as a resource. The oils or like the smell around you can be also a resource. And then your breath, your body, and your mind are also your resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So I know we have to start wrapping up for today. I'm really, really enjoying this
Mhm.
conversation with you, and I feel like I can just listen all day and learn from you all day. Every time we talk, I always learn new things from you. And let me ask you about if you could share with the listeners about a little more specifically about your offerings and where they can find you. And we'll also put this in the show notes.
Okay, great. Um, so I am actually starting an aromatherapy online course that I'm going to be teaching, a 5-week course that is really open to people who are at more of a beginner or higher level of understanding. We're going to go learn about essential oil chemistry, why they work, etc. And that will be, God willing, starting in January. So we're just getting the landing page up hopefully today, so I can send that to you. And I teach around Israel in person. I teach on Zoom, and I love to share oils with women in person. It's really fun, and when you see someone take that inhale and watch their shoulders drop. So I'm available to come and teach workshops, fun women gatherings, or some kind of workshop around Israel. I love to do that. That makes my heart sing.
Yeah, and having been to a couple of your workshops, I can attest that it's just so fun and so inspiring. It like lifts the heart and soul. First of all, just being in your presence, but also smelling the oils together and having that experiential
Mhm.
experience of smelling the oils, experiencing them in the moment, and also learning about them. And it's really, really fun and it's really special what you're doing.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
yeah.
For sure.
And is there any final words or any last things that you want to share with our listeners?
Sure. So one of my favorites, I love to learn from this oil, the green mandarin. You might have heard me say this before.
Yeah.
So the citrus oil, green mandarin is a citrus. We know it really just as a clementine, clementina, mandarin. It's orange. So the oil, there's a green mandarin oil. So that is taken before the fruit is ripe. And that's why it's green, because the fruit is still green. So it's not ripened yet. And it's known as the oil of potential, right? It's not ripe yet. Anything is possible. So I just want to really like give everyone a blessing and offering that when you're feeling scared, when you're nervous, when you're unsure, it's a great time to bring in green mandarin and to be curious and to let life unfold. We have to do our work, we have to do our hashtadlus, and we have to believe that things are unfolding in a good and positive way for us, and we're doing all we can to make that happen. So when you add green mandarin to that anything is possible. Okay, let's go. Um, and that's really how I love to use the oils and teach people to use the oils is the emotional support. Sometimes I say, yes, geranium is my best friend. She's always by my side. Um, and it can be like that. So for sure, anyone who's suffering, who's like, really needs some help also, I can give you my phone number to post. I'm open to answering questions, helping people living here in Israel. We all just really need support. So I'm here to help people. I want to help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Hannah. And we
Mhm.
will post all this in the show notes. And such a wonderful, encouraging way to end to hear that yes, anything is possible. I needed to hear that today.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
good.
you. Great seeing you. Be well.
If you enjoyed this conversation with Chana Frazin, I welcome you to like, follow, subscribe, and share this with your friends or family, anyone who you think might benefit from hearing this conversation. You can find information on how to contact Chana as well as her course in the show notes. And feel free to join the Nale Yoga WhatsApp community for the most recent updates on new episodes and events, and ways to connect with me as well. And with that, I hope that you have a mindfully fragrant rest of your day or night, and I hope to meet back here again soon. Be well for now.